Okay, picture this. 3:47 a.m., Lady Gaga's dressing room. And what do they find? Not like leftover pizza, but a body hanging from a meat hook, apparently in a dress that was still twitching. A bit. No blood, no scream, but the smell. Imagine a slaughterhouse collided with, I don't know, an exploded bottle of Chanel No. 5. It's pretty bizarre.
It's certainly a vivid image. And it's the opening hook from Stephen Pinkwort's article, The Slaughterhouse and Lady Gaga's Dressing Room Heart. But just to manage expectations, this isn't really a true crime story.
No, definitely not.
Pinkwort uses this, let's say, intense metaphor to talk about something else entirely.
Yeah.
What makes communication, what makes art truly impactful.
Not just.
Okay.
Exactly. And that's what we're diving into today. We're going to unpack Pinkwort's argument from this article, basically asking, what does it take for creative work, writing, art, maybe even a presentation to actually resonate, to not just be bland or, forgotten tomorrow?
Yeah, to avoid being beige.
Right. And don't worry about how technical you are, whether you're a writer or just curious. I think this exploration is going to throw up some surprising ideas for pretty much anyone.
Sounds good. So where should we start? The meat dress itself. Pinkwort doesn't just see it as an outfit, he calls it a manifesto.
Yeah, the manifesto bit. And the idea that she wore you, meaning us, the audience, what do you make of that? It feels confrontational.
It really does.
Yeah.
It suggests the dress wasn't just for the audience to look at, but it was somehow about them, reflecting them, maybe even provoking them. A certainly split opinion, didn't it?
Oh, massively. People were either disgusted or thought it was some kind of boundary-pushing genius. But either way, it got a reaction, a strong one. And maybe that's the point for Pinkwort. That memorable work has to provoke something.
I think so. It ties into that idea of art holding up a mirror, maybe an uncomfortable one. Which leads nicely into his next point, actually. She has what you don't. Guts. Smell.
Right. Guts and smell. Okay, guts. That seems fairly straightforward courage, right? The nerve to be authentic, take creative risks, maybe even offend.
Yeah, exactly. To not play it safe. And what about smell? That's less obvious.
Smell. For me, it's that unique, maybe even slightly off-putting quality that makes something stick in your mind, that visceral thing. It's the opposite of generic, polished, safe. Like Pinkwort says, the stuff that smells like dead tofu.
Chuckles slightly. Dead tofu. Yeah, he doesn't mince words. Which brings us to his swipe at the latte-sipping posers with their well-tempered sentence structure and your overused Pinterest metaphors. Ouch.
It's pretty savage, isn't it? What do you think he's really getting at there? What's the warning for us?
Well, I think it's a critique of creative work that relies too much on convention, on sounding nice or looking familiar. Those perfectly crafted sentences and cliched images.
Mm-hmm.
They might be technically okay, but they lack that individual smell.
They lack personality, they lack life. It's like trying so hard to please everyone or follow some perceived rule that you end up saying nothing much at all.
Precisely. Which connects to his claim about the murder of good taste.
Yeah.
This wasn't suicide. This was murder. By whom? Good taste. That's a strong take.
It really is. He's basically saying the desire to be palatable, to be inoffensive, to conform to some standard of good taste actually strangles the raw power out of creative expression. You filter and sanitize until nothing challenging is left.
You kill the smell.
Yeah, you kill the smell. Has that ever happened to you? You have an idea, but then you sort of tone it down to make it more acceptable.
Oh, probably more often than I'd like to admit. It's a real tension. Which he illustrates with that boiled meat analogy, doesn't he? Lady Gaga's raw meat dress versus if you'd boiled the meat beforehand.
Ah, yes, the boiled meat. It's such a perfect image for sanitized creativity, isn't it?
Absolutely. Boiling it removes the blood, the rawness, the potential for, well, for anything really interesting or risky. You end up with something bland, something that, as he puts it, smells like nothing.
No impact, no guts, no smell, just boiled meat. It's a depressing thought, actually. How often do we boil our ideas before we even serve them?
And his antidote seems to be this universal poetry slam tip, write with your body. How does he contrast that with, say, writing using tools like ChatGPT or even PowerPoint, things we use every day?
He positions writing with the body as something primal, instinctive, coming from deep inside, from raw experience. The dirt under your nails, the lust between your thighs, the sweat of your shame. It's visceral.
Right, whereas tools like ChatGPT, while useful, can't access that deep personal stuff. They don't have dirt under their digital nails.
Exactly. And the PowerPoint-induced nausea, I think that just represents the soullessness, the corporate blandness that can creep in when we rely too heavily on templates and bullet points instead of, actual human feeling.
It drains the life out, which makes his examples of how to write with the body so startling. The jealousy one, the death one, the self-discovery one, they're intentionally shocking.
Oh, completely. I stole his phone at night, called his mom, and asked if his dick had always been that weak. Or stirring ashes into cake mix. Or the tax advisor fantasy in the tub. They're designed to jolt you.
Why go so extreme, though? What's the payoff for being that provocative?
Because, he argues, real emotion sounds like a car crash with eyewitnesses. It's messy, uncomfortable, maybe even ugly, but it's real. These extreme examples force us to confront the idea that genuine honesty often isn't neat or pretty. It's more memorable than generic platitudes, right?
It definitely is. It grabs you. Which kind of leads to that quote he uses from Slamowski. The killer was the audience. What's going on there? Is he blaming us?
I don't think it's blame so much as a critique. The idea is that audiences often say they want truth, but they want it sanitized. They want grit, but without the actual blood. Honesty, but without the discomfort.
So we end up rewarding the safe stuff, the boiled meat.
Kind of. The argument is that the audience's preference for comfort can inadvertently kill the truly bold, raw stuff by not supporting it, or by demanding it be toned down. It's a bit cynical, maybe, but there's a grain of truth there, perhaps.
Possibly. So, faced with this, what's Pinckwart's advice? His call to action is unusual. Why you should go to a Deka now? Because you need meat. A Deka being a German supermarket. For context, what's the symbolism?
Yeah, it's not literal grocery shopping advice. He means we need to confront the raw stuff in our own lives. The meat, the uncomfortable truths, the messy experiences. Stop being, as he puts it, like an undertrained vegan border collie on Valium tiptoeing around. We need that raw material to feel authentic work.
So, face your own slaughterhouse. Engage with the difficult bits.
Exactly. Which links to his idea of a verbal dress, made not of silk or cotton, but made of your weaknesses, your lies, your festering self.
Wow, okay. So, embrace the ugly. Wear your flaws.
Pretty much. Use vulnerability, even the darker parts of yourself, as the actual fabric of your expression. He thinks that's where the real power lies. Not in hiding it, but in weaving it into what you create. It's quite a challenging idea.
Definitely challenging. And if someone feels completely lost, like they don't know how to do that, how to create work that smells like you, like fear, sex, sweat, shame, that's where he introduces the poetry mess.
Right. This seems to be his proposed solution or guide. He promises things like structure that grows like mold on old bread, which sounds organic, if a bit gross.
And examples that make grandma call a retirement home. So clearly still aiming for that provocative edge.
Yeah, the goal is a text that burns, stinks, and stays. Not just something pleasant, but something unforgettable, something with that visceral impact, that smell.
So to wrap things up, the core message from Pinkwart seems to be, don't shy away from the raw, the messy, the uncomfortable parts of human experience if you want to create something truly memorable.
Exactly. Art or communication that doesn't stink a little, that doesn't have that visceral edge, isn't really alive. It's just boiled meat.
And his own provocative style definitely makes the message itself stick, doesn't it? He practices what he preaches in terms of making an impact.
Absolutely. It certainly gives us something to think about. So the final thought for everyone listening might be, where could you inject a bit more guts and smell into your own work or communication?
Where could you be a bit less boiled? What would your personal meat dress look like, metaphorically speaking?
A great question to ponder. And for anyone truly inspired to wield words with a bit more pungency, perhaps check out the ideas in works, aiming for that raw poetic power. Like the concepts explored in things like Poetry Master, finding that potent poetic force, maybe even in 7 days, who knows?
Yeah.
Be creative.